Hello everybody and welcome back to another product review video. Today we will be taking a look at the 2019 Lionel Legacy Shay. I'm not going to give the history on the Shay locomotives, but there is a lot of history on these types of locomotives all over the internet and in several encyclopedias. But I will be discussing the history of this locomotive, the Roaring Camp and Big Trees Railroad Dixiana. Dixiana Roaring Camp Engine Number 1 is one of 3 engines designated a National Mechanical Engineering Historical Landmark. The Dixie, as she is affectionately called, was built by Lima Locomotive Works, shop number 2593 on October 12, 1912. She served on 6 different short line railroads before coming west to California, although she saw service on the famous Smoky Mountain Railroad in Tennessee. It was a narrow-gauge mining railroad that is now abandoned in Dixiana, Virginia, that gave her the name Dixiana. The 2-truck locomotive, the Dixie, weighs 42 tons with a tractive effort of 17,330 pounds and has 29.5-inch drivers. 3 10 by 12-inch cylinders that can maintain 180 pounds of working pressure. The beloved Dixie was dubbed Engine Number 1 at Roaring Camp because it was the first locomotive acquired by the founder, F. Norman Clark, who inaugurated steam operations on Roaring Camp on April 6, 1963. Lionel, like many of their competitors, will do a one-and-done run on railroad names. I had intentions of getting a Shay down the road and was going to do one railroad that a Shay, a Heisler, and a Climax were available in, but I realized it won't be easy to have all 3 names being the same name. So I looked around for a nice-sounding road name. I found out that Dixiana was being built by Lionel in 2019 in their Volume 1 or 2 catalog and knew I had to get one. The reason I got Dixiana was because Dixiana was the first ever Shay locomotive in a full-size scale that I got to ride on. In 2018, my parents and I went up to Roaring Camp on our way to the Train Mountain Triennial, and we rode the beach train and the mountain train with Dixiana on the head. My dad and I got a cab ride on the way down from the top of the mountain. So there is a lot of videos on our channel that show that, whether it's cab rides or outside shots, so please take a look. The locomotive has loads of details, so let's take a closer look. We're going to start off with the front of the locomotive. On these locomotives, the Shays and the Heislers and the Climaxes, they all have couplers in the front that can operate. And these are electrocouplers, so there's one on each end. And when I demonstrate the coupler in a little bit, you'll notice that the coupler buzzing sound is no longer around. You could barely hear it. We'll continue along. We got the front pilot with some footboards below, and we got red and separately applied details for the coupler cut bar. Moving along, we have a legible builder's plate. We got a little number board in front, and we got a red headlight on here. And there is a smoke unit. So when you want to fill up smoke for the main stack, you fill it up in here. The whistle, I'll show you guys in a little bit. And of course, if you just pull open just a little bit, it'll open the front of the smoke box door, and it's held together with a magnet. Continuing along, we got some piping that goes in. That is for the throttle port, I believe. Or it could be for the steam exhaust. I'm really not quite sure, but it looks like it could be for either or. We have a sand dome here. We got a bell. We got some nice handrail detail up here. And here's the steam dome where the whistle is located. And we have a nice dynamo generator. As I mentioned, filling up smoke in this locomotive has 2 smoke units, one being the main stack in front, and the steam dome where the smoke whistle effect is the second one. So Lionel includes this little black funnel. I don't know if you guys can see it. There you go. And all you got to do is put it into the hole right here on top and just put the smoke fluid in the little hole and you're good to go. Continuing along to the back of the locomotive, we have a little hatch on top that opens just like that, and some nice rivet detail on top of the cab roof. Under the realistic cold, it has switches for run program, on-off smoke, and Bluetooth on or off. Yes, a switch for Bluetooth on or off, And all you gotta do is just pull up a little bit. It's stuck down by a magnet and some tabs on each end, and there you go. You also have a volume pot as well. As many of you know, Lionel introduced the Bluetooth control additions to their models made after 2018. This was great for those who wanted to have a control system if they didn't have legacy control system, a Cab 1 or Cab 1L system on their home layout. Now keep in mind that manufacturers make trains primarily geared for the user's personal layouts. Bluetooth opened a door for visitors at train shows to hijack trains with the app, and I believe Lionel introduced a kill switch starting with the products in the 2018 Volume 2 catalog, and this was a great addition. I have one locomotive that does not have a Bluetooth switch, and that is my 1225. I don't plan to modify my 1225 because the Bluetooth comes in handy if the layout legacy control system decides to lose its signal on a layout. You can start the locomotive up with the app and operate it that way. I believe the app can't override locomotives if it's getting a legacy or TMCC command. Moving on to the back, there is a tail light right here. We also got a nice detailed ladder, some little storage tanks, and we have the water hatch that opens up like that. And since this model is a little bit smaller, the pot would not fit in the tank hole, so there is the reason why it is next to the switches for Bluetooth, smoke, and run program. We're going to move along to the drive side of the locomotive. Now, in the past, these models have had issues with the square piece down here coming out of place. And I believe Lionel has done a good job fixing them because I haven't heard any problems with them thus far. The other thing is they say that this model can probably do 031 and 042 curves, but the real minimum you will need is 054 just because of the prevention of the piece falling out. Now we're going to look a little bit closer to the cylinders. The cylinders do operate like the real Shay. If we also look inside the cab on each side, there are two cab figures, and along it says number 1 and it says Shay on the little builder's plate. We also have a air tank and a little compressor, and those are obviously not operating, those are just for show. Here is the bland side of the locomotive. You'll probably be seeing a couple shots throughout the video with the locomotive on this side, and there may be shots that you'll see the locomotive on the other side. And I plan to run the locomotive both forward and backwards so you guys can see different aspects of the operations. But overall, this side looks pretty nice as well. Looking closer at the drivers on this locomotive, the drivers are actually spoked, so when you see this going down the track up close, you can actually see that the wheels are spinning, which is pretty cool, and it's a nice touch to this locomotive. I believe the past run, which was sometime between 2011 and 2013, it did not have spoked wheels. I believe it did not have spoked wheels, or some of them did. I'm not quite sure. Alrighty guys, so I have the undercarriage in my hand just to show you guys real quick. There are two pickup rollers under here. There's also some gearing that is connected apart at the end, and as well as a little gear down here that operates the drivetrain. There's also a little sensor down there for the track infrared legacy setup where you run it over and it'll enter the information into the remote. As I mentioned in a couple reviews in the past, I think it was the Percy, James, and Diesel reviews, Lionel eliminated the art for the locomotive, so it would say Lionel locomotive, Lionel diesel, Lionel electric, whatever type of locomotive it was. And Lionel has started to bring those arts back into the app. So when you run this thing off the app, it will show you Dixiana like this. So it's pretty nice that they're bringing it back, because it confused a lot of people that have locomotives, but they do not have the ability to figure out which locomotive is which, unless they were to turn it off. Before we run Dixiana, I have an advertisement, and if you live in the San Diego area, the San Diego Electric Railway Association is in need of docents. If interested, please visit the website, which the link will be in the bio, or make a visit to the depot when the depot is open. With the coronavirus, the depot is still closed, and when the museum opens, it will be announced on their social media pages, but they are looking for docents right now to be able to reopen once the county makes it safe to do so. Let's move on to my favorite feature. My favorite feature is how the drivetrain on this locomotive works. It's a lot of nice detail and moving parts, and it makes it a very attractive model. The least favorite, which is always talked about, is color inconsistency. I am not bashing Lionel in any way with this least favorite portion, but it's just some constructive feedback that I'm hoping Lionel will take into effect. A couple weeks ago, I watched a Eric's Trains live stream, and he gave some insight that was pretty true. He explained that what we get from each company is what we get, and the way to attract people is the models is through the sounds, features, operations, and appearance. Here is a picture of the real Dixiana, and you can tell that the smoke box is a light gray and the cab is a medium dark varnish. It doesn't bother me that much, but to some this breaks the deal. So this is a message to Lionel. I love your products, but please fix the paint inconsistencies. Because once MTH has closed up their doors, you're pretty much the only major company left to sell high-end products, and it's important to keep your namesake around, and that is by making great products. Instead of doing the wrap-up after the running of the locomotive, I will do it now. These Shays are very nice locomotives. If you want a 2019 Shay, you're going to have to look around, as many dealers still have them. Dixiana is harder to find. I got mine from Nicholas Smith Trains, and when I ordered mine at the time, there was only one left after my order was processed. The retail price is $11.99, but you can go through a good dealer and get one for a better price. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. And enjoy the sounds and sights of Dixiana.
This is the art office. Do you read me? I copy that. Over. Stand by for track orders. Over. Yes, sir. We'll fire up. Out. Dispatcher, error is made. Brake test complete. Are we clear to pull? Over. Copy that. Your route is lined and locked. Have a safe run. Over. Roger that. Here we go. Out. Dispatcher, we're ready. Is it okay to pull? Over. Might be a few minutes. Watch for your signal. Copy that. Standing by. Out. This is the art office. Please hold at your location. Over. Okay. Standing by. Out. This is the operator. You are cleared to depart on signal indication. Over. Acknowledged. I've got clear boards. Out. Dispatcher, cleared outbound. Over. Dispatcher out. Dispatcher, train is rolling. Over. Roger that. Have a safe run. Out. stand. Out. My coal's full. Over. Roger that. My water's full. Over. Roger that. Dispatcher, we're signing out and going to bed.